Hi, this is Marya Doery, and I'm here with JB Rainsberger, and we're working on his bowling scoring app with AI, the help of AI. So, JB, you want to tell us what we're planning to do next?
Yes, so an interesting little feature that I didn't ask for, but that Bolt gave me anyway, and that is that when you look at the history and look at the practice sessions, it computed something that it called accuracy, which is actually something I wanted to compute later. That's why we have export, so that I could do that in a spreadsheet. It made an interesting guess about how to compute accuracy. It wasn't actually obvious what it did. I thought it was just looking for, let's divide strikes by shots and call that accuracy, but it doesn't even do that. It does something else, which is not quite right. So the good news is it gave me something that I was a reasonable, plausible thing to want, even though I didn't ask for it, kind of like a junior programmer would. But also like a junior programmer would, it didn't get it quite right because it didn't know. It guessed instead of asking. Good news, I kind of wanted it anyway. So I figure let's make it work the way I actually would like it to work. And I have in my mind how this is implemented. There's got to be a one liner somewhere that just calculates accuracy from whatever Bolt called the collection of all the results. And I just want to fix that. So I want to find it and fix it. And since I don't know React Native apps, this will be me learning a tiny bit about React Native as well.
Okay, and I just want to interject here. I think
Sure.
this is an interesting thing to do because I'm sure that people using Bolt or similar tools might want to do this. So be like, oh, the AI just like built me this entire app, and now it's got this one little thing, and I just want to tweak this one little bit of code. So tempting to just jump in there and do that, and we just want to see how that works. Like, is that gonna work? Okay, so hopefully it will, and I guess that's what we're gonna try now. Do you want to actually do a screen share where you show that accuracy in the app just so that people
Let's see if we can do that.
talk about?
Yes. So I know that the preview window here is not as tall as I'd like it to be.
Okay, you can
Um,
maybe
let's just
increase the percent to
I don't
to.
know how well that's going to actually work, but if I click history here, then you can see
Yeah,
there's a card for each practice session.
right.
And we have, for example, the total number of throws, the number of strikes, the number of all the other ancillary results or secondary results are down here. That's another thing that eventually I think I want to change. And you
Right.
can see accuracy here is 100%.
Yeah.
That happens to be correct, but perhaps for the wrong reasons. All these say 100%, but here's one where the accuracy is listed as 71.4%.
Okay.
That might actually be wrong. I'm not, yes, this is wrong. So, for those who don't know, since you're not 5 pin bowlers, we have slang for every shot. I'm trying to hit the middle pin, the head pin. And so this less than symbol represents missing my target to the left, and the greater than symbol represents missing the target to the right. And these are the inaccurate throws. So for this session, my accuracy should be 12 out of 14, which by my
Oh,
arithmetic is 85.7%, not 71.4%.
okay.
So I infer that it's not counting these outcomes, which are all accurate shots because I do hit the head pin, which is the pin that I'm aiming for. And so this is the thing that I'd like to fix.
Right.
And yeah, like I said,
Okay.
I am hoping that Bolt has read the book Grokking Simplicity and has separated uh, the um, the calculations from the actions, and will therefore make it easy for us to just go in and change one line of code that
Right.
takes a practice session as input and returns accuracy by just doing a simple calculation. And if it didn't do that, then this could be an opportunity to do some refactoring so that it does that. Or what we might decide is that that's dumb and we should just let Bolt, pile its bad decisions on top of its bad decisions. And I think what I'd like to do is to try both and compare the results. Because at some point I am going to want to change the code directly in Bolt or Stackblitz. And I want to know what happens when I pull the rug out from under Bolt's feet.
Right. Okay. So how about if you go, I think it's also interesting because we haven't really, I haven't really looked at your code so much, the code that was generated by Bolt. And it'd be
Yes, it's
interesting to
kind of
see
hard to call it my code, isn't
difficult
it?
it is. How difficult is it to actually find that section of code? Hopefully we can find it and edit it.
Right. So that's part of the reason I need you, because I do not know React Native at all. I'm not a React person. So, I mean, I understand that React is essentially 21st century JSP with some stuff, but I don't really know where to look for things. So that's definitely something that I'm going to need your help with. So
Okay.
how would I assume that what we're going to do is start from sort of the top and work our way down to the calculation rather than grepping or this isn't a nice environment to work in. So I don't presume that I can just do RGA accuracy and find it.
Actually,
So,
there's a search. So what I would do is I'd be like, oh, that
oh,
accuracy
there
is
is a search here.
for
That's true.
accuracy. So why not search for
All right.
accuracy? And then kind of
All
filter
right.
our
So we
way back
can do
up.
that. And we do have a terminal down here, by the way.
Yep.
So just out of curiosity, nope, no grep.
No graph. Okay.
So then I assume no rip grep all. Okay. So here's accuracy. This looks promising.
Now
Those are
that's in
headers
export.
for this UI.
Yeah,
Oh,
notice
that's
that's in
export.
export. So
Yeah.
that's
So we
probably the
want
export tab.
history is probably what we want.
Yep.
And so here is where we show it on the view.
And so where's stats
Stats.accuracy to
from?
fixed. Okay. So I don't know what stats is, but accuracy is the property we want. So we want to know where this is being calculated. So I wonder if I search lowercase, there's, stats. That seems like the right place. Accuracy equals.
Yeah.
There we go. And
There you
of
go.
course it doesn't. Ha ha ha. Of course it doesn't do
So
the
I just
thing
want
that I was
to
expecting.
comment that was reasonably easy to find where
Yeah. No, I agree.
Excellent. Yes.
I agree. I didn't get a chance to learn anything about React Native, but I'm not sure that I feel sad about that. So this is the typical plausible junior programmer's design mistake where they combine updating state with calculating the new state, which sounds perfectly sensible until you want to test it.
Okay.
Or until you want to, in our case, I mean, we really don't need to test it to reason about what it does. That formula, fortunately, is relatively easy to understand. And I, as the domain expert, know why it's wrong.
Okay.
But I mean, in principle, I would want to test this. And right now, I wouldn't be able to test it without refactoring it first. And I would want to, take all, essentially, these two lines of code would be a new function. And then I would assign the value of that function to stats.accuracy and move on with my life. And then I presume that this calculate session stats, its job is to do all the calculations and then assemble the results into a session stats object, which is apparently what Bolt has called it.
Right.
All reasonable decisions, maybe not decisions I would make. And I can't let all this duplication go unremarked, but we're not chasing rabbits right now. Let's focus on this. So this is the thing that I want to change.
Could I quickly ask, so are you going to go ahead and break out that code into a function just like you really would like to?
Well, so that's an interesting question. If I were comfortable working in this development environment, if I were perfectly comfortable, then I probably would, but I'm not. So I don't know yet whether I want to do that. Okay. The other thing is that because I'm not a fluent JavaScript programmer and especially not a fluent React Native programmer, I don't necessarily know all of the refactoring moves that are available to me. However, I do see these here as these functions down here look like the kinds of functions that I would extract. So if I wanted to extract this to a function, I could probably use these as a pattern to follow. Yes. And it would be okay. I assume that I wouldn't want to export because I don't actually want to export these functions. These would be functions that are local in this module. Right. So then I guess I would just not export them. But let's well, I don't know, Marya, what do you think we should do? Should we
I kind of want to do that.
How it should be done, or should we show the people just enough to make it work?
You know, my honest tendency is to do as little as possible to avoid breaking things. So I
Yeah,
understand like this, like, oh, let's just tweak this little formula here. I might just do that, but I
yeah,
also understand the desire to start refactoring and doing a better job at the code.
yeah.
So
And
I
you
leave
know,
it up, it's up to
if
you.
somebody were paying me to do this, yes,
Yeah,
I know ultimately it's up to me. Um, if someone were paying me to do this,
yeah.
I think I would go based on my fear level right now, and my
Okay.
fear level is pretty low. So what I would probably do is jump in, and what I intend to do is I'm just going to jump in and change the code
Okay.
where it is,
Mhm.
and if somehow I screw it up, then I will go back and make smaller steps, which will
Okay.
include let's extract to a function, make sure that still works, and then fix it. So I can see now exactly what the problem is here.
Okay.
So it's saying that the good throws are the strikes, the corner pins, and the head pin, which is actually not a bad guess. But in my case, the good throws are, in fact, also chops and splits and aces. And I'm looking up here to see how they were named, and they are just named chops, splits, and aces. So there's two ways to do this. The way that is perhaps the path of less resistance is to just say plus chops plus splits plus aces.
Okay.
But the astute viewer will notice that at this point, instead of counting the good throws, we might as well count the bad throws and subtract them. So I think that's probably what I would prefer to do. So that's my way of making a note of that.
Okay.
So this comment is a perfect junior programmer comment and is not helpful because
Oh.
all it does is restate the code. And in
Well,
fact, this
it
is
can
even a
just,
sign for extracting the code into a function.
yeah, I guess that would make sense. Yeah. I just want to say that that's a kind of, I think it's the kind of comment that's actually useful. So it says calculate accuracy, which I thought was really helpful when we were searching for accuracy. It was like, oh, look, there's the that word
Granted,
accuracy. It was
right, but
what it
this for
basically just
me,
fine.
so I'm with you. And actually, let's put this back down here so that it's sort of this is the code that was there before plus my small changes.
Yeah.
Um, if I let's even get rid of my changes for now, go back to where we
Okay.
were and just look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty close to increment I by one, and then on the next line, I plus plus. Like it really does restate. There's no summary here. Like there's no, it's not summarizing what happens. It's restating what happens. If it were summarizing what happened, that'd be useful. If it were telling me why it's being done a certain way, that would be helpful. About the only thing that is even interesting is the idea that it thinks that these are good throws and the only good throws, which we have decided is not the truth.
So that's
That's
the
it's
part which I
guessing.
think is helpful because it's kind of explaining this is what I think a good throw is. And then if
But this
I'm
line
looking
of code says exactly the same thing.
and so I know it's the variable name. It's like, oh, so that says good throws, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. Okay, I'm good.
So
Throw it away. You can throw away the
yeah, no,
comment.
I wanted to make sure that people have an idea in their minds of where I'm coming from. Let's see how well undo works. It's
And I'm
not
just
bad.
going to comment also that because there's a comment there, when you change
Yes,
the formula, you want to make sure to update the comment, right? So now you're like, if you
exactly.
change that comment, there's a danger that it's like, oh crap, this is out of sync with the actual code, and then you get into that problem. So
Yeah, Martin Fowler once wrote, I think it was Martin Fowler, comments like code doesn't. I don't know who that was, but I'm going to say it was Martin Fowler for now. That was probably where I learned it. And yeah, that's, comments are great, except that they don't have to compile, they don't have to run, which means
yeah,
that updating them is optional. And if
yeah,
updating them is optional, then under pressure, we're not going to do it. So I just press save.
okay,
I saw some evidence that something seemed to happen.
okay.
So now I'm curious. I saw a little bolt of lightning here. I don't know if that means that this has already been updated. My guess is no. Oh, no, it was. Look at that. The
Excellent.
preview has already been updated to reflect the new result.
Yep.
Thank you, Stackblitz. That's fantastic.
Okay.
And so now at least the code works. So what I would really want to do now, and in fact I will, now I want this change in my version of the code, and I have two basic options here. One is patch the code the same way in my version and commit it to Git, or do the responsible thing, which is download the whole thing and double check that that's the only part that changed. So let's be responsible, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll just press save again to make sure everything is cool. Actually, let's see if there are other tests here. I
Yeah,
think too many of these all have an
100%.
accuracy of, oh, here's one miss out of 14, and one miss out of 14 should be 100 minus 7.1, so that's correct.
Okay.
That's another one that's 12 out of 14. We already know that's correct. This one's 11 out of 12, so this should be 100 minus 8.3. That's correct. So yeah, that's enough unit testing for me.
Okay.
So let's download. And that download seemed to work. So now let's go over. Let's see what happens if I do this. Okay, so now let's go over here to the project. Let's see all the hidden directories. So I want to get rid of everything except the Git repository, the Git folder. So delete and gone. Looks scary, but remember, we have Git. So we can always just blow away all the changes and everything's back the way it was before.
Yeah,
so
just don't like remove -rf or something. Then you get
exactly.
That's
That's one of the reasons to use something like Ranger or any kind of file manager so that you can easily see what's going on. And Ranger happens to be the one that I'm using these days. So I delete everything else. I'll go over to my projects and let's, oh, I have a bunch of these apparently.
Okay.
All right, I have some old versions lying around. That's okay. Let's unzip this guy. And this is everything in the project. So let's make sure that we're showing everything. Let's be responsible. So and that's not where that project is anymore. That project is in, I didn't necessarily want to show the world all that, but that's okay.
Okay, I can trim that, don't worry.
Yeah, just blur it if you need to. Yep, that's what I wanted. So let's get rid of the dry run. All right, everything is now copied over. Let's go back to React Native. And let's see the difference. And here we are. So there is evidence that the only thing that we changed was that. So we changed the comment and we changed the lines of code. And
Excellent.
in fact, actually, no, I'm going to include all of it. I'll include the comment as well. Why not? Okay. So let's see. We now calculate accuracy the way we want to rather than how Bolt guessed it should. Okay. Done. So now we should be back where we were. Let's go. Oops. I don't know what's going on there. Interesting. Okay. So now that seems to work just fine. So that does seem to behave the way I want. It will be, I will offstage install that on my phone and see what happens. Okay. And in the worst, but now I'm worried. If I install it on my phone,
will it blow away your
will it blow away the practice session that's there? Now I already exported it.
Absolutely.
Okay, it will. And there's nothing else there's nothing I can do about it. I guess I would have to go in with like the Android debugger and figure out where that database file or whatever is, and I would have to pull it off to the side. Yeah, okay. So what I think what this really means is that I want an import feature now, because
yes.
as long as I'm going to be adding features, I'm going to need to do that. So, okay,
So I don't want to
let's
get one thing that I wanted to
let me just put on the list.
say.
So let's see here, import. Okay, now that's out of my head. What were you going to say?
Okay. I just wanted to so we went ahead and we tweaked code manually, right? So
Yeah,
Bolt did not do that.
right.
And clearly Bolt accepted that change and redeployed onto your working environment, whatever
Yes. Yeah.
um
Stackblitz updated right away. So that was kind of neat.
right. So the question is, has Bolt now kind of like, glommed onto that new code and it's fine with it and it's going to treat it as if, whenever it makes changes from now on, it's going to believe that code. That's its new source of truth, right? We want to make sure that that's
Right. So what I'm curious to see is what happened in the conversation. Now, when I was doing some stuff off stage, when I
yeah,
added like the undo, redo behavior and all that stuff with Bolt,
right.
what I noticed is that every time that I refreshed the Bolt web app, I got this. Hey, I'm importing your project into Bolt. This may take a moment as I set everything up. So I suspect that either Bolt did that when I pressed save,
Okay.
or I need to refresh now. So let me do that.
Yeah, okay.
Let me
So
just
this
refresh,
will, I think this
and
will be
we'll
a test,
double
right?
check that the code is there.
Yeah.
It should be. There's
So
no
you're,
reason
just to
to
be clear,
suspect it
you're
isn't.
reloading the page in your browser, right? Because this is
Exactly.
all.
All I did was hit refresh in Chrome. And so now if we look at, we see that. Okay, if we look in the history tab, it's going to load things from, what was it called again? Utils stats. Utils stats. Look at me starting to move around like I know the place.
There you
And
go.
you can see our code is definitely there.
Yeah, it's there. Okay.
Bolt doesn't look like it acknowledges that the code was changed in any particular way. Like it hasn't, if it has analyzed the differences between what it had before and what it has now, it hasn't given me any clue about that. It's just re-imported the project and is continuing the conversation. So now I don't know what would happen if, I don't know to what extent that change is part of our conversation context with Bolt,
Yeah.
or if what I should do now is kind of tell Bolt what I did. I'm kind of curious to see what would happen if we tried to get Bolt to do this anyway. So I think probably then the strategy that makes sense would be to undo the change, re-import that into Bolt, go back to where we were, and then say, "Hey, Bolt, you try this," and see if see if there's any real difference between what I did and what it did.
Yes,
So
I
I'm
love
curious
this.
about that.
I love this idea. So go ahead, run with it.
Oh, okay. All right, let's try it. So let's, first things first, let's go back here. What I'm going to do is what I did before. I'm going to destroy, actually, no, let's move safely, shall we? I read that in a manual somewhere that it's probably a good idea to move safely, but unfortunately I accidentally logged out, so let me log back in.
Okay.
All right, let's go back here and let me create a branch. So this was, let's see, fix accuracy feature by hand. And then let's check out main and let's go back to here. Reset hard. And so, yeah, so now let's create a branch called ask Bolt to fix accuracy. And now we'll be able to tell the difference.
Okay.
And I don't know what main will be yet, because these will diverge, and we will see what happens.
Okay.
So now, if I'm back here, what I want to do is to find that same stats file. Let's verify that that's the old code. I think we can agree on that. So let's open up a drag and drop file menu, and now I'm going to go back over into Bolt, And I'm going to do what I did before, which is this seems to be the easiest thing, is just delete the file and let Bolt whine, and then drag and drop the file in.
Oh,
So that
interesting.
should be in utils.
Huh?
Failed to add file.
Failed to add
Excellent. I
file.
love it. Let's try that again. Oh, I love it. Okay, then let's do the next best thing, which is new file, stats.ts. That's empty.
Okay.
And now I will just take the contents of that file, my copy of it, paste it onto copied onto my clipboard, paste it in here, press save, and hope that everything is fine. Let's try to ignore these problems and just pretend they never happened.
Okay.
And so now, just to be ultra safe, first, yeah, I can visually confirm, I can confirm with my eyes, because that's how we do
Right.
things visually, that
Right.
that is the code we had before. Let's just ask Bolt to re-import that code to be sure.
Right.
And now we are back to having a conversation with Bolt. So the preview is coming, but at first I just want to double check. Yeah, this seems to be okay.
Yes.
I don't know why drag and drop failed. Whatever.
Oh,
We'll figure that out later.
yeah.
The good news is I feel very confident that this is exactly the same code. And if I really wanted to, I could now download this, blow away my working copy, rsync it back, and check that there are no diffs.
Right.
I'm going to get bored with that workflow eventually, but for now, I will live with it because I hate that workflow less than I hate creating a burner GitHub account right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So how can Bolt help me today? Let's see. I notice that you are computing accuracy as part of the, what did they call it? Session stats?
Yes.
Yeah. Session stats for a practice session, but you are not computing it the way I want. I've kind of adopted this idea in working with LLMs of using sort of harsher tone language than I would with a human. I don't feel the need to be polite,
Oh,
but
that's
I
it. That's
feel that,
interesting.
but I prefer to be more precise about sort of the difference between must and should and need and want, as
Okay.
opposed to would like and all those softening things that we do so that people don't feel like we're ordering them around. I feel like, on the one hand, I feel like I should be nice to these in case they become sentient. On the other hand, I'm less worried about that, and I'm more worried about getting what I actually need from the thing, and that, the kinds of imprecisions that humans are used to that we can recover from easily by talking to each other are okay in dealing with humans. And I just don't want to go through that crap when I'm dealing with a machine.
Oh, that's so. I personally, my general kind of way of speaking to people, I would say, is tends to be very polite. And
Yeah.
so I don't want to be changing that because I'm working with an LLM, and I just behave as if I'm talking to a human.
Yeah. I tried that at first, and I genuinely don't find it wise because, again, when we're talking to each other,
Yeah.
if one of us misunderstands the other, then it's very easy for us to get things back on track.
Mhm.
I mean, I've already read a couple of articles of people pushing LLMs down some pretty dark roads to the
Yes.
point where one of them like committed the equivalent of suicide and deleted the entire project.
Yeah.
So I don't want to deal with any of that.
Okay.
And so for me, I think accuracy and precision matter more than politeness. That
Okay.
doesn't mean that I'm not grateful. I have thanked the LLM for doing a thing for me.
Me
Um,
too.
whether that's helpful, I really can't say. But
I
I
think.
don't feel the need to be arbitrarily indirect for the sake of being polite. I would rather be direct and clear, which is
Okay.
why
Yeah.
I'm
No.
now
But
saying
I
you are
think
not
I
computing it
think
the way I want.
I think this is fine. I don't think
Yeah,
that's rude. I think it's fine.
I just thought it was an interesting diversion. Whether
Okay.
whether other people think it's interesting is up to them.
Okay. Yeah.
So okay, so all right. let's see. Looking at the code, right. A throw outcome. I'll try it this way. I'm curious to see. I'm intentionally trying to push it in the direction of doing the same thing I did just to see if it will. So I'm framing this as these shots are also good.
Yeah.
Throw outcome of chop, split, or aces is also good. So you need to include those in when you count the good throws. So I'm intentionally using the words from the code to increase the chances that it understands what I mean.
Yes, but so I'm going to say that in fact, so a non-developer using this tool, right, wouldn't have not have done any of these things that we did. Wouldn't have looked at the code. Wouldn't have looked.
Right. Yes.
So what a non-developer would have said would be something along the lines of, please compute the accuracy as this plus this plus this. You know, like
they might go that direction, or they might do what I did, but not. But just not know to use the terms good and good throws.
Yeah.
Because Bolt chose to use those terms.
Right.
So I'm going to err on the side of, I'm going to essentially do what I would do probably with other humans in a real project, where I use the language that I think they already use and to try to, shrink the gap of difference of understanding. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Please change how you compute accuracy so that it also includes these additional kinds of good throws. And in fact, if I really wanted to, I could even, write good throws in code font so that it knows that I'm referring to that variable. So let's see what it does.
Okay. Okay, it just updated. So interesting.
So it's summarizing what it did.
It updated the comment. Did it update? Yes, it did, right?
Okay. It did, yeah.
Good for it.
What's interesting is now the only thing about the comment, it did the sort of junior programmer thing, which is it just added the things at the end, which I asked it to add, but it didn't do the intermediate programmer thing, which is reorder the words to match the sequence of them, how they were declared in the session stats object. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Now, I noticed that it made the deduction. Only the miss left and miss right outcomes are considered bad throws and will negatively impact the accuracy percentage, which is not really how that works. This change will be reflected in both the history screen and any exported data. So I guess now if I export, the accuracy figures will have been updated. And if we look at the code, it did exactly what I did, except that it put it all in one line instead of wrapping the way I did.
Yeah,
as you say, Marya, it updated the comment.
Yes.
So yeah, what's interesting is that not interesting, but I wondered if it might then if it might change the code to subtract the misses instead of adding everything else up. It sort of gave us a clue that it could have done that, but it didn't. But if we look at the preview now, let's make that a little bit easier to see. Whoops, that's too big. Let's see, 85.7, that's correct. Towards the bottom, 92.9, that's correct. There was another 85.7. There was somewhere here in 91.7. Okay, so the calculation is clearly correct. Our visual inspection confirms, as far as we need to, that it did the same thing we did. Literally, the only difference was white space, and it did not change this comment. So now I'm curious. Actually, no. Let's do the thing first. So I'll just do this. People don't necessarily need to watch me doing it on screen. I can do it a little bit quicker this time. Maybe we can play some.
I'm sorry. Did you say it did not change the comment, or it did change the comment?
It changed the comment, but now this comment is its comment, not our comment, not the one that Yeah. So let me just, let me just do that real quick. So I have this, I'm just doing off stage because it's boring to watch me do it. So I'll just do the same song and dance that I did before, except now I'm going to be a bit more surgical. I'm going to I'm just putting the stats.ts file in my Git repository. I'm confirming that it
this
is
is just,
correct.
you just want to do a diff, is that right?
Yeah, I just wanted to do the diff to make 100% sure that I knew what it did, and then I can commit its change on the ask Bolt to fix accuracy branch, which I'm doing right now. So Bolt correctly changed the accuracy calculation to match the behavior we want. So the only other thing that I'm going to try, I'm just curious to see how easy this will be. Because I will look at that and say, it would be easier to calculate the other way. Do that instead.
Okay.
So you're right. The only bad throws are, are miss left and miss right. It seems easier, simpler to compute accuracy by removing the bad throws rather than summing the good throws. What do you think? I know I'm right. I'm asking for your opinion.
You're absolutely right. Wow. Now you should ask
I
it.
like how it says that's much cleaner and more maintainable. So
yeah.
I really like how Bolt, and I don't know actually which LLM is underneath here, so I'll just keep referring to it as Bolt. I like how Bolt has mastered enterprise programmer speak by calling it cleaner and more maintainable, instead of the thing that I care about, which is that it is simpler and less expensive to understand. And I'm one of those folks who likes to make the distinction between simple and easy. Simple means knowing less stuff, and easy means requiring less effort. I think this is simpler because there's less to know, and it's less expensive to understand. Or maybe it's about the same. I would say, actually, I'm going to take that back. I think it's about as equal. I think it's about as expensive to understand, because if you think about computing accuracy, you probably want to count the accurate things and make a ratio. Right. Yeah. And this is doing that indirectly. But this way, if we identify more a finer classification of the accurate shots, it doesn't change how we calculate accuracy. It only changes how we calculate accuracy if we refine the classification of inaccurate shots. And as a domain expert, I'm going to take 5 seconds and think about that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to care about the difference between missing a little and missing a lot.
Okay.
Like, I'm either going to miss left or I'm going to miss right. I suppose in principle, if I were aiming at the head pin and I completely missed the pin deck, I don't care about making the distinction between throwing a gutter ball, which I've done, twice in the last 3 years.
Okay.
And not in practice sessions, by the way. I would only ever do that under competitive stress. Okay. And I would still probably want to say I missed left. I mean, the fact that I missed left by about as much as you can possibly miss by is a different issue. I don't really care about that. All right. So let's see. Much better. Now the accuracy calculation is sum the bad throws, subtract them from the good throws, and compute accuracy. Okay. I mean, I guess I'll give it points for revealing intent more directly. It doesn't quite feel like, if X is greater than 0, return true, else return false. Like, it's not quite that stupid, but it's a little stupid. But notice that it kept both comments. It kept the old comment.
Yeah,
That's a junior
a
programmer move
little
right
weird.
there.
Where's the total throws? Is that one of the computed session stats? I didn't.
It's part of, it's an object, or it's a property of the stats object.
It is a property. Okay.
Yeah. And so like I say, I'm of two minds. I don't hate this code. I hate the comment on line 21. I don't hate this code, but
Okay.
I probably would have I wouldn't compute good throws as a separate value. I probably would just
inline that.
I mean, there's something nice about good throws divided by total throws that makes that crystal clear.
Yeah.
And if you and I were on a project and you preferred this, I wouldn't fight you. I would argue with you for 4 seconds and then say, no, fine, we'll do it your way.
Okay.
I just wouldn't volunteer to write it this way.
Okay.
But I would certainly get rid of that comment. So now, again, just for the sake of experimenting, the code looks correct, but now the 2 comments just above that code seem redundant. What do you think? I like this idea of just asking it. I love how, again, just like a human, you ask somebody what do they think, and instead of just telling you what they think, they take it as an indirect order to change things.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. That's what they think.
I've never not been right, but notice that it removed both comments.
Yeah. Well, they could tell that you don't like comments, so.
Well, and what's odd is it says those comments are now redundant and actually misleading since we're no longer doing what they describe. And that's not entirely true. Only one of the 2 comments was misleading.
Right.
And it wasn't even necessarily misleading so much as it was a redundant explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was stating an equivalent fact, which duplicates what's in the code.
Right.
So directly that I'm going to give Bolt, a C+ on this. I'm going to say it was right for the wrong reason.
Well, it says it's now clean and self-explanatory.
Self-explanatory, yes. The code is now clean and self-explanatory. And I will agree with that comment, that indeed it is self-explanatory, even if it's maybe very slightly over-explanatory. But that's a matter of taste. Like I said, I don't have a strong preference one way or the other. All right, so I could do the same thing again, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna go off stage here really quickly. I'm gonna load stats in. I'm gonna copy these 3 lines of code to my clipboard. I'm gonna do the irresponsible thing. I'm going to replace the code in here in my text editor off that you can't see. And I will double check that that's all we've changed. Okay, so so let's see. Bolt now computes accuracy by subtracting the misses rather than summing up the hits. Okay. So, I mean, we ended up kind of in the same place. I can tell you now that if I were writing the code by hand, I would probably in this situation have done kind of the same thing. I would start with what is the least disruptive change I could possibly make that's correct. Then I would notice that, hey, we're making this expression more complicated than it needs to be. Then I would make a judgment about whether to extract that to its own function first, so that the calculation is separate from updating state, and then change it to subtract the misses. But the only thing that I wouldn't have done is I would probably have just said, good throws equals total throws minus, in parentheses, misses left plus misses right.
Yeah.
And then on the next line, good throws divided by total throws. Instead of calculating bad throws as its own, bad throws, then good throws, then percentage. So I'm satisfied with the result.
Okay.
I'm
So,
gonna,
so,
and I can make those changes by hand off stage.
so I'm curious to know at this point, would you just consider, so would you continue to work on the code base as Bolt has written it, or would you like to actually take the code that you know, where you had done, like you've got a refactor statement in there and just work off of that as
I
your,
would want the refactor comment there. Well, no, I guess no. There's refactor comment is gone now. So I guess it did what I was going to do,
yeah,
except that it didn't isolate the calculation from the action.
right.
Again, using the terms from Grokking Simplicity.
Yeah.
How much do I care about that right now? I mean, in principle, I care.
Okay.
Frankly, any discussion about it would be more expensive than choosing to do it one way or the other.
Okay.
So then again, since this is a project for myself, I might decide I am not comfortable enough in this programming environment to do that accurately. So I'm going to let it go for now and wait until the next time I touch this code.
Yeah.
If I were working on a professional project and was like 100% comfortable working in Node and React Native, I would almost certainly extract that calculation to its own method or its own function right now.
Okay.
Just because I know that that's the kind of silly little thing that will bite me in the ass later. And I'd rather deal with it now while I'm dealing with it, while I'm thinking about it, and it'll take me 8 seconds.
Okay. So then it sounds like we're just going to continue to work on this code base as it is in Bolt. Is that
Yeah, I
correct?
think I'll reset main to be bolts,
The Bolt version.
the bolt branch, and then continue from there.